Canada was like fired up. It's like, we're not leaving this tournament without a medal. Finland had like zero chance. I could go to the NHL Scouts and just peek on their notes. Fast, accurate, freaking dangerous. In this video, I'm going to talk about the best prospects of Hlinka Gretzky Cup 2025, and actually players who rose and players who fell, or the players that I was not impressed with. There were so many NHL scouts present. It probably was from like every team, I don't know, but I know Seattle Kraken was there, Philadelphia Flyers, Minnesota Wild, Ottawa Senators, and lots of others, but these are the ones that I 100% saw. I want to talk about a couple of things as well, especially on why Canada lost and USA won, because I was at the semifinals game, USA-Canada, and then the final as well. So let's go. So Canada won 25 times out of 33 years, which is quite impressive. So they came in as a big favorite and definitely a contender for gold. Like, they came here like, oh yeah, we're gonna win this. Dominated the group stage, beat Finland 5-3, which wasn't very kind of like a sure thing, you know? I saw like, oh, Finland is playing really good, but maybe Canada wasn't playing the best. Then they crushed Switzerland 9-1, of course, and shut Czechia 5-0. Showing that their goaltender is pretty good. So basically the biggest star is projected number 2 of 2026 NHL draft, which is Kon Verhoff. A defender just like Matthew Schaefer, the captain just like Matthew Schaefer last year, and he only had 4 points in the whole tournament. Of course, as a defender, you know, okay, but you're going for the power plays, so there's goals and assists that you should have. He scored a goal and 2 assists in the first game, and then 3 games nothing, and then on the last game he had an assist for the bronze. I wasn't as impressed, but I'm gonna talk about him because in the game for final, I didn't like the way he was playing at all, and I'm not saying he's a bad player, like, you can have a bad day, oh my god, of course, or bad tournament. I don't know whether this is overconfidence, because when I saw Team Canada warming up before the semifinals game against USA, they were very cheeky, very loud, they were dancing, they were shouting, they were laughing, and it just seemed like, hey, look at us, you know, we're gonna win this all. And I thought, I like the confidence, but sometimes, you know, when you're overconfident, it's not gonna go well. And Team USA in the pregame, by the way, outside, they were like calm. A lot of players were looking at the game for the 5th place, which was Czechia against Slovakia. They were very interested, they were very focused, they were taping their sticks at the stadium. Everything was just like calm and focused. Yes, I know I said it already, but I liked this attitude, you know. So in the semifinal game against USA, Kon Verhoff just didn't have his day, like, at all. Every time he had the puck, there was some kind of mistake, he lost the puck, they almost conceded the goal. That's not great for a defender, right? So your captain should lead the team, but he wasn't very confident with the puck and he made a lot of mistakes. And you could see that he's a little bit frustrated, I would say, and you could definitely sense it and see it as well. So the rest of the players, and especially defenders as well, made also a lot of mistakes. Of course, throughout the tournament, you know, I was impressed with those guys, especially Belchatz. I think he had a really good tournament. He enjoyed it. Very good. Rudolph and Lynn. And Verhoff and Dupont, I don't know. I mean, as I said, they didn't play bad. It's just, I expected so much more from them, and it didn't arrive. So when we had a tie game in the semifinals, I already knew, well, okay, I had a feeling that USA will win. Here's why. They've been doing this in the gold medal game, in the semifinals, and probably previously as well, but I wasn't there. So every time somebody blocked the shot, every time the goalie made a save, even like, you can say easy, they cheered on the bench like crazy. For everything, you give a good pass, you block the shot, you make a save, you clear the puck. Everybody on the bench was like, woo! Seriously. And I was like, oh my god, they really cheer for each other and they play like a team. Like, this is a team effort. This is, I got you, pal. I got you, bro. I got your back. And this essentially earned them the gold medal. And the second thing is, first game against Slovakia was a little shaky. So I was like, maybe Team USA is not the greatest this year. So I assumed that Canada-Sweden will be in the finals for sure. and then Finland against USA, and I wasn't sure whether USA is gonna get the bronze or not. So the first performance against Slovakia was not that great. I was like, they made a lot of mistakes. Slovakia did not play well at all, I mean, the whole tournament. So, finishing 6-3 is not a great, even, the great show-off of your defense and goalie at all. So then they played Sweden, and obviously they were leading 2-0 and then 3-1, I believe, and they lost the game. They lost the game against Sweden, and they must be terrified to play Sweden again in the gold medal. However, you can learn from your mistakes, and you should learn from your mistakes. And the problem with many teams is that they don't. USA learned from their mistakes, and that's why they got the gold. And of course, they beat the Germany 8-1. And the semifinal game was obviously going into the shootouts, and I was freaking impressed. I mean, seriously. First of all, the goaltending overall on Team Canada and Team USA, the whole game was amazing. But the shootouts, I'm not going to talk about goalies now, but they made some saves, which is great. But some of the players just showed off, like, you have all those NHL scouts and you have a shootout. You're playing for the gold. So every shootout is so important. You have to be like, nobody's reading, all these NHL scouts. Like, you can essentially create a career for yourself or bury it. And these players, went in there with confidence, and they were doing things with the puck that I haven't seen and on this kind of tournament I haven't seen ever. Like, the confidence, this could go so wrong, and they executed it like, wow. I'm thinking about one, and I can't freaking remember which player it was. There was one shootout, I think the last one from USA, I'm not sure. I don't remember the player. Please, if you remember, comment below. He was doing like this in front of the goal. It was like, bam, scores. I was like, my head was spinning. And something like that also one Canadian player has done. But this was just like, because I was so close to it, I was literally like behind the glass. And I was seeing, bam. And I'm like, oh my God. So well done. And by the way, Ethan Noling, the goalie, in that semifinal game, if he didn't have that kind of performance, they wouldn't go into the final. And everybody knew it because everybody was, patting him on the back. Like, that was 100% the goalie's biggest effort. Some of the players that I liked from USA, I mean, I actually liked all of them because I think everybody brought something to the table. But if I should pinpoint, of course, Ethan Noling, the goalie, Levi Harper, the player who can score in the really important parts. I'm not even sure. No, Noah Davidson added a shootout goal against Canada and scored in the final. He may be the one who did this. Let me know in the comments if you know that. Blake Zielinski, of course, 9 points in 5 games. Brilliant. Jack Hextall, Calder Varga, Luke Buchner, of course. Like, all the players it was such a team effort that I don't want to pinpoint. Like, anybody from Team USA played so freaking good. So we're gonna go into the finals, right? Ooh, this is gonna be a tight game. I know this. Face off. Elton Hermansson. First shot on goal, he scores. Was it 10 or 15 seconds? Everybody was... Of course, the Swedish fans were like, wow! Everybody else was just like, what just happened? Team USA was like, what just happened? Oh man, this was just going so wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope this is not gonna be one of those games of like 5-0 or something. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good for the goalie. And actually, the second goal, so the USA tied the game. I think he made like 1 or 2 saves, very easy. And then the fourth shot was a goal again. The people in the audience were just like, oh my God, like, it's like, what, the second shot on goal? And I was actually worrying that they're gonna switch the goalie, because I don't know if it was like 5 or 6 minutes, and from relatively easy shots, you concede 2 goals. It's just not great. However, without this guy, they wouldn't even be in the final. So there's a big dilemma for the coach, let's say. Should we change the goalie or not. And they had the trust and belief that he's going to put himself together and he's going to pull it off, And he did. And it took a couple of more minutes, more shots, and he started being very confident again. And then he made like a really good save, and I was like, okay, he's back, he's back. And he may just created amazing career for himself, because those NHL scouts obviously saw that he was in they knew he has skills and talent and resilience, because semifinal game, right? But now you're in the final, because sometimes you just have a good game, you just have like a really good form, but it's all about mental toughness. And you go into the gold medal game, and in 10 seconds, first shot on goal, it's a goal. This is the worst scenario for a goalie like ever. So the scouts were like, okay, is he gonna fall apart or not? And he got another goal, and I was like, oh my God. And then he was brilliant after that. And you could see like he's gaining confidence with every shot. It was really interesting to see. Being that young and being so mentally tough is really goes far in the NHL. Sweden, well, on Team Sweden, every single player was from the local league, from the Swedish league. They had no player playing in Canada or USA, and that is outstanding reflection of their development program. I wish we had that in Slovakia. However, if you go through the tournament and you don't lose any game, you basically mostly get screwed for the gold. Because you don't know how it is to lose or to be losing the game, and you're like, oh my God. So they were of course losing to USA in that game in the group stage 2-0 and 3-1, but that was like early in the period, and then they turned it around. But other than that, they beat Germany 10-0, beat Slovakia 7-0, and Finland in the semifinal, which was really interesting. It went into the overtime, so this could go either way. So they started kind of like losing it. But the point is that essentially how they got into the gold medal game was because of their two players. Not to underestimate the rest of the players, but just, the top leaders in Canadian points are Marcus Nordmark, 12 points, and of course Elton Hermansson, 11 points. These are the leaders in productivity. And these are essentially two players where you could always see when they were so dangerous with the puck. And you knew like, oh, this is either going to be a goal or they're going to pass the puck and it's going to be a goal. I have never seen, on the whole tournament, I haven't seen more dangerous players than these two. They're going to go, like this may change the draft for 2026 because they may actually go higher than it was predicted because it was outstanding. Every time they touched the puck, it was like a shark attacking. Fast, accurate, freaking dangerous. It was a beautiful thing to watch, honestly. I was like, man, these two players are gonna be freaking mega stars in the NHL. If they keep it up, of course. Yeah, so Team Sweden, it was pretty hard, on them in the finals because they didn't play bad, but they got the penalties. So again, mental toughness missing. They got the penalties, and then USA on power play was unbeatable. Like they destroyed you on the power play. So Sweden made some crucial mistakes with the penalties. Team Finland, very sympathetic team. Of course, Oskar Hemming was quite impressive as well. They beat Czechia 4-1, lost to Canada 5-3, and then lost to Switzerland in overtime. And unfortunately, they couldn't stand a chance for the bronze medal game against Canada because Canada was like fired up. It's like, we're not leaving this tournament without a medal. We were supposed to win the whole thing. We're not leaving without freaking medal. Finland had like zero chance for bronze, honestly. And they didn't have the quality, to be honest. They were fast and I liked how they played, but they couldn't stand a chance. And then we're going to talk about Czechia and Slovakia, the hosting countries, because obviously, why not? So Czechia, in the last 2 years, they were in the final. And of course, they lost. But now they were fifth, beating Slovakia, who was one of the worst teams on the tournament. They beat Slovakia and then they celebrated like they just won gold. And I know it was in front of your audience, all that stuff. But I was like, not only Slovakia, us, suffer from low standards, but also Czechia, because Why would you celebrate a 5th place out of 8 teams? I don't know. Okay, you win the game, but don't freaking celebrate like you just won gold. And that game was unfortunately held in Czechia because they were hosting the tournament and Slovakia was co-hosting. However, I'm gonna get to that. Of course, you had this Czech against Slovak fans, which wasn't very nice because sometimes they were shouting some stuff. Slovakia's performance, well, we lost to USA and it showed really a promise because obviously 6-3, it was 4-3. And then for some reason, we had empty net quite early or earlier than we should, I believe. I know it's just 1 goal, not 2 goals. And then we conceded a goal in like 20 seconds, like 2 goals because we did it again. It was horrible. Anyway, we lost to Sweden 7-0. I made a TikTok about it because the prediction of the game. So before the game, I was watching television and I have seen these TV reporters and even players from Slovakia. They were like, oh, we need to win by 3 goals and then we're going to go into the semifinals, right? So, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what did you say? Oh, we need to win. So if we are winning by 1 or 2 goals, that's not enough. I'm sorry, excuse me, what? You think you're going to be at any point in the game winning. How deluded are you? I'm sorry, how deluded are the players and the coaches and the commentators and the whole freaking country? The final result 7-0. Oh, if we are leading by 3 goals, 7-0. And I said actually my prediction was 8-0. So, and we beat Germany barely 1-0. Barely. The team that couldn't score at all. Anyway, Oliver Ozogany scored 4 times in the whole tournament and he's only 16 years, so he's eligible not for 2026 draft, but 2027. So Samuel Golian, the captain, was really, really good. I liked him in the first games and I think he was the best player overall for Slovakia. And then in the last game, obviously for the 5th place against Czechia, he was the worst player on ice. He lost his cool, so mental toughness maybe not so good. He had stupid penalties. He was very angry. He couldn't contain himself, and it all came out of frustration that he almost always lost the puck, which created a chance. He didn't play well at all. He was losing battles, he was losing the puck. It's really tough because all those NHL scouts are watching you and you had like 3 games amazing and then the last game is horrible. I'm not even sure, like maybe he blew his chance or maybe they are forgiving, I don't know. But this wasn't good. And also Maciej Stankoven didn't play and I'm not sure why. He didn't have the best tournament, only had 1 goal, and for his caliber, he should have like much more. And the last game, I couldn't find the information why he didn't play. I don't know. And one thing that struck me was the fact that I think it was on our power play. I have never seen this in my life, okay? And the whole audience was very confused as well because you could hear like, oh, you know, from everybody. We are on the power play, yeah. So I don't know what to think about our coach because he doesn't impress me very much, but what do I know, right? On a power play, our players go into the bench, right? They sit on the bench. And all of a sudden there's 4 Czech players against 1 player of Slovakia and they go on goal. And I'm looking at our bench and nobody's jumping on ice. Nobody. So the players came to change. They sat down. 4 Czech players on 1 Slovak. And I'm looking there and I'm looking on the bench. That's like 3-4 seconds. And nobody's jumping on ice. And everybody was like, Then they start jumping on ice. So there were probably like 3-4 seconds of dead air where they just didn't play. Like they were just like, you know, yeah, let's make a change. And everybody was like, oh, go, second line. What the fuck? Anyway, let's talk about the hosting. So behind the scenes of the tournament, I was surprised that Trenčín had bigger attendance than Brno. In the group stage, it was doubled every time. That was interesting, right? Anyway, I was in both cities because I wanted to see like, ooh, of course, Brno has amazing arena, you know, it's great for the champion of Czech Republic, HC Kometa. Trenčín is pretty Soviet Union style, but I don't want to offend it. I mean, having not modern stadium is not a problem. The The point is, what kind of hockey is played there? Is it good for the players? But definitely not good for the audience, but still. The tickets cost €5, 4 or 6 euros, depends if you go for 2 games or 1. And I actually appreciate old stadiums because you can stand, right? So you can stand and just hold the rails, and you don't have to sit, because my back really hurts when I was just like sit here for 2 hours. I like standing, and I went to the other side of the stadium. So this was really cool because you could just go around. You don't have to go out in the lobby and then another entrance. You can just go like this. It was great. However, there was not really many signs where to go, how to go, where's the toilet, where's the stairs. And funny thing was, everybody was sitting on the wrong place because they couldn't understand the ticket marking and then the stand marking. So I was looking for my place for about like 15 minutes, still couldn't figure it out. And when I found it, I wasn't sure it's the right one. Actually, when I found it, some people were sitting on it. So I sat somewhere else, and then somebody comes to me and said, I think you're sitting on our place. I'm like, okay. So I went back. It was a mess. And everybody was just doing this. They had their ticket and they were like, hang on. No, wait. No, it's not there. Oh, no. Oh, okay. No. I don't know. So I was like, okay, I couldn't find the toilet at all, by the way. Oh, I could find a male toilet, but that's it. There's no signs, no markings. And I actually couldn't even find the entrance to the stadium because I found the entrance and it was like VIP entrance, Scouts entrance, and then entrance. So I was like, okay, should I go in? And then the police in front of it. And nobody was coming in. Anyway, I want to say hi to the super rude steward who almost destroyed the experience for me. And I cannot imagine being a foreigner, Canadian, American, Swedes, come in, oh my God, we're going to see our team, probably the family of the players. And I cannot imagine experiencing this as a foreigner because I would probably never come back. And this is the problem with countries like Slovakia or Czechia or whatever, where we complain we don't have enough tourists, but we don't do anything to change it, right? It's off topic anyway. I just want to say, if he's watching it, I know that's a bit childish, but anyway, I couldn't find the stairs. I know it sounds weird, but I couldn't find the stairs. If you were at the Trenčín Pavol Demitra Stadium, you know what I'm talking about. I couldn't find the stairs. And I thought I have to go like to the left through the stand and then up. I can go up, like in a normal stadium, lower tier, and there are stairs, and you go up. Not here, but I thought it's like this. So I was going this direction, and then I didn't know it's a VIP zone. So there was one steward, because nobody else was anybody. He was like this. Where do you think you're going? And he was looking into his phone the whole time. And I was like, I'm looking for stairs to go up. You know what he did? This is my rant, by the way. He was like, you want to go up? And he started making fun of me. And he was probably like 60. And I was like, yeah, I want to, there's a stand. And then I was being sarcastic, And I said, yes, there is a stand above us. And he said, oh, do you see any stairs in here? Do you see any stairs? And I'm like, excuse me? Oh, I don't see any stairs. I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, and at this point I was quite angry. And I said, well, if there's an upper stand, there must be stairs. Yes. So where are they? And he said, are you here for the first time or what? Dude, I thought I'm gonna explode. And I said, yes, I am here for the first time. Thank you. He was like this. It's there. And I was standing there and I just wanted to punch him in the face. I just wanted to tell him like so many bad things. Oh my God. But can you imagine like being I traveled there. I spent money on the hotel there. And I'm from Slovakia, right? Can you imagine like a Canadian, as I said, the foreigner, going for dinner, supporting local businesses and buying tickets for the game, all that stuff. And you're like, oh my God, I love this. This is the final game. This is great. This is amazing. And then somebody is so rude to you, somebody that works there, somebody you pay their salary. I would never ever be rude to the customer that came to this amazing event, you know, and I'm just gonna ruin it for them. I would never do that. So I don't understand, how can you work there and be so rude to people? I just don't get it. That's why I'm saying it, because I don't get it. Can you be like helpful? Because I'm sorry, it's your job. If your job is to be helpful because you are a freaking steward and you know where the seats are and everything else, you gotta fucking do it. And if you hate your job, fucking quit. Thanks. But then, you know, USA won and it was really great to see that, and I was so happy. The stadium was kind of old school and old. You didn't have like a separate sections, and that's why I could I could go to the NHL Scouts and just peek on their notes. I was so curious, and I know it's probably unethical or unprofessional or whatever, but I'm not a reporter, I'm not the media. I'm just a fan commenting on hockey. And they had the laptops, this big font, and they were typed. I could see Ottawa Senators logo, for example, and I was like, peeking, this small font, and I'm like, maybe I could take a picture and then zoom in. And I took out my phone. I was just like standing there, you know, like, took out my phone. And then the scout next to this scout, he turned around. He was like a big guy, you know. He turned around, looked at me, and I was like, and I started running away. He was angry, okay? He was like, you don't do that. You don't do that. I was like, damn, yeah. I wanted to be a little bit of a cheeky. All right, so I think that's it from the tournament. But just to say about the Stewart story, you don't need NHL level, you know, quality stadium. You don't have to have that. It's fine. It can be wooden, but it doesn't cost anything to be nice to people. It doesn't. It's free, okay? Being nice to each other is free. You don't have to pay for that. You don't have to be freaking Las Vegas, Golden Knights, okay, to have that. So I just wanted to say this at the end. And I think hockey community is a pretty nice community. And if you want to join it, subscribe to this channel. Check out my Substack. Links in the description, because I do blogging as well, talking about this, and my TikTok where I post daily. Let me know if you were at Hlinka Gretzky Cup or if you were watching it and if you liked it and so on. Go. I'll see you next time.